Hey guys, this is John Gervasi, the Full Check podcast. I keep saying radio show, and it's not a radio show anymore. Today is the 32nd episode of 32 and 32. Today we're doing the Arizona Coyotes, and I know I keep saying 30 and 30. I keep forgetting there's a team in Vegas and Seattle. Very forgettable teams because I don't really care for Vegas. So, I don't have any Coyote stuff, so I'm wearing some Central gear today. But yeah, let's get it started. 32 and 32, the Arizona Coyotes. And Arizona is an interesting team in the fact that they were they were all over the place the last couple of years. And that all starts in 2018, 2019. They were 39, 35, and 8. They had 86 points, 213 goals for, 223 goals against. So that's a differential of minus 10. And actually, if we go back to the standings for 2018, 2019, the Coyotes were actually 4 points out of the last wildcard spot. So I think that year, 2018, 2019, I think that was the year where everybody thought that, hey, maybe the Arizona Coyotes are finally turning things around. Arizona is going to be a force to be reckoned with in the next couple of years. And then in 2019, 2020, which I have the playoffs up, they went 33, 29, and 8 with 74 points. Fix this real quick. 195 goals for and 187 against. So plus 8. So they're getting better. Obviously, the wins went down, but the biggest issue here is that it was a shortened season due to COVID, and they had to play in the bubble. But Arizona made the playoffs. They were in the play-in round, and they beat the Nashville Predators 3-1 and pulled off an upset. But I don't know if people really thought it was an upset. I think a lot of people thought that Nashville was a team that was maybe on its last legs. Pekka Rinne was getting older, and Saros hadn't really. But that's not to take anything away from Arizona. That might have been the year. I think that was the year that they had acquired Phil Kessel, or it might have been the previous year. But then they went on and played the Colorado Avalanche, and after beating the Arizona Coyotes, let's just say Colorado put Arizona in their place. It was 3-0, 3-2. Then Arizona finally won a game 4-2, and then back-to-back 7-1 losses. Arizona outscored 14-2 in the final two games. That kind of ended any cup hope. But the thinking here was that, hey, we made the playoffs. We're going to be a lot better. And if we go back into this previous year, the way the divisions are set up, it's set up perfectly for Arizona. The Honda West was really a top-heavy division, or so we thought. Colorado, Vegas were the best teams in the division, people thought. And then St. Louis, they were supposed to be up there too. It was supposed to be a three-way tie or a three-way race for number one in that division between Colorado, Vegas, and St. Louis. Then Minnesota sneaks in there. And so, we have a new top three, and St. Louis falls to 4. Arizona falls out of the playoff race late. They lose out on the playoffs by 9 points. And I think coming into that year, coming into last year, obviously it was Colorado, Vegas, St. Louis, and then that 4th spot was to be just up for grabs, and any team could have gotten that 4th spot because this was supposed to be the weakest division out of the 3. It wasn't the division of hell that the Buffalo Sabres were in, but LA was a lot better. San Jose and Anaheim San Jose at one point had a chance to get that 4th playoff spot, but that's how bad the bottom half of the division was. This division was so top heavy that it was thought that Arizona was probably going to grab that 4th playoff spot And I don't think anybody saw Minnesota going 35-16 and making the playoffs and finishing third within that division. And Arizona, I think, got lulled into a sense of, hey, we're better. We can keep getting better. We're going to be a lot better hockey team. We should make the playoffs. And I think that kind of thought faded down the stretch maybe. This year or this previous season, they went 24, 26, and 6, 54 points. And that led them to be, like I said, 9 points out of a playoff spot because the top 4 teams in each division had made the playoffs. They had 153 goals for and 176 goals against for minus 23. So I think that Arizona maybe had a tiny window, but a very small window because we didn't know how their talent was going to turn out. And OEL was getting paid a ton of money for not really showing any production after the contract. If we look at their special teams, they were very good on special teams this year. They had a power play percentage of 20.8. That was good for 13th in the league, and their penalty kill was 80.8%, which was good for 11th in the league. So, if you listen to if you listen to the radio show, you know that Brennan Martin came out, or he was on the show. He talked about what's good for a power play and what's good for a penalty kill. I think it was like 75% on the penalty kill, 25% on the power play, and Arizona did that. They were very good on special teams. The issue was on 5-on-5, and just something happened to Arizona this year, and I don't know how you can describe it. Maybe they weren't as good as they had thought, and then they have issues with the draft pick, which I won't get to in a minute because it's a little frustrating. Okay, but your team leaders for last year, you had Phil, I'm going to eat a hot dog every game, Kessel, with 20 goals. Connor Garland had 27 assists. Phil Kessel had 43 points, which led the team. Victor Soderstrom had a +4. Yes, a +4, led the Arizona Coyotes in plus-minus. That right there in itself is very, very bad. Darcy Kemper led with wins and losses. He went 10, 11, and 3. Aiden Hill led with a .913 save percentage, and Darcy Kemper had a 2.56 goals against, which I think is why Colorado maybe thought, hey, we can replace Grubauer with Darcy Kemper and still keep, doing what we're doing. Key transactions for this team. This first one's not really a key signing, but it is a signing that I have to talk about. And if you listen to the show and you've listened to my rants on the Buffalo Sabres, Carter Hutton was signed, I want to say, to a 1-year contract if we go to cap friendly right here. Carter Hutton is getting $750,000 for 1 year. So it's a good contract. Big problem, he went 110-1 with a 347 goals against and an .886 save percentage in 13 games in 12 starts for the Buffalo Sabres last year. I just don't know. I don't know who you're replacing Darcy Kemper and Antti Raanta with. You have Joseph Coronar, who was traded to Arizona by the Sharks for Aiden Hill, and you have Carter Hutton. I don't know if those are guys that are really going to win you games, which is why I'm going to give them the preseason grade, or the offseason grade, and the wins that I'm going to give them. Carter Hutton went 110-1, and yes, it was with a terrible Buffalo Sabres team, but he still went 110-1 with a 347 goals against, and he had an .886 save percentage. That save percentage, is a lot of that has to do with Carter Hutton. He let in a lot of soft goals last year. So I don't know what they're doing in goal. Like I said, that's why I'm giving them the grade at the end that I will. And I gotta give the Ducks grade too. And then Ryan Zingle, another signing, a 29-year-old forward who was an unrestricted free agent, scored 13 points, 8 goals, 5 assists in 40 games with the Ottawa Senators and the Carolina Hurricanes last season, including 9 points, 6 goals, 3 assists in 29 games after he was traded to Ottawa on February 13th for Cedric Paquette and Alex Galchenyuk. So they also got Anton Strawman and Shane Gostisbehere. They got Louis Eriksson and Jay Beagle and Antoine Russo from the Canucks for Connor Garland and all. So here's the thing. These moves are a lot like the moves that the Coyotes have made in the past. They took on a ton of contracts for nothing, but the Canucks also get so for the Gostisbehere trade, they got a second-round draft pick, and for the Louis Eriksson trade, when they got all them, they got a second-round pick and a seventh-round pick in 2023 because they don't have their own pick. So this is where I'm at with the Arizona Coyotes and these acquires or these acquisitions. Gostisbehere could be one of the best defensemen in the league. However, like OEL, he got the contract, and he hasn't really shown much to show that he deserved said contract that he got. Louis Eriksson's getting older, Jay Beagle's older, Roussel's older, but they got draft picks. But they had to trade Connor Garland, who was their leader in assists. So you're looking at this team, like, okay, so what did they really do to make them any better? Jay Beagle's getting $3 million, Antoine Roussel's getting $3 million, Dmitry Yashkin's getting $3.2 million. Andrew Lattis, for some reason, is getting $5.2 million for the next 2 years. He is not the same player he was in Chicago. You have Louis Eriksson making $6 million next year. So Louis Eriksson's 36, Ladd's 35, Russo's 31, Jay Beagle's 35, Anton Strawman's 35. He's making $5.5 million. Gostisbehere is 28. He's making 4.5 for the next 2 years. It's still, is he going to live up to the contract? So they have $8.2 million in cap space. They haven't used any on LTIR. They are paying, I think they're paying a buyout. Nope, they're paying dead cap. So they are paying part of Oliver Ekman-Larsson's contract of $990,000. And they're paying this year $1 million for Darcy Kemper. They are still paying $1.2 million for Michael Grabner. So my thing is, these moves scream rebuild. However, they also say we've got veteran leadership. Maybe this is what we needed to make the playoffs. I don't know if this is a playoff team. With the way some of the ages are, Phil Kessel's only 33, which I thought was just crazy. Their goalie's 35 and 23. Like I said, Carter Hutton, not a very good goalie last year in Buffalo, but maybe a change of scenery will help. And having, I'm going to be honest, on paper, this defense looks a lot better than Buffalo, and this defense can be very, very good. The thing is Shane Gostisbehere going to go back to the form that he had as a rookie and before he got the big payday? So, because you also got Jacob Chikrin. So it's old. What's this? I think they have the average age on here too. If I would look, I'm trying to find. They usually have the average age of the forwards is 28.7, the average age of defense is 27, and the average age of the goalies is 29. But then, you look at this roster or the roster and then the trades. A couple of years ago, they traded for Pavel Datsyuk, who was retiring. They also traded for Marian Hossa, who was retiring. Is this one of those things where they're just trying to get back to the cap floor? Because they've had to navigate the cap before being under the cap. So that could also be a thing. Not only do they sign Carter Hutton and Dzingel, they sign Hudson Fashing to a 1-year, 2-way contract. He skated in 5 games last year. He had 1 goal, 2 assists, and 3 points with 8 penalty minutes with the Sabres and Coyotes. And in AHL, he went 55, 56 for 111 points, 79 penalty minutes, and 229 AHL games. So, a 2-way contract. He is, I think I said he's 26. Yep, he's 26. So, it's probably another AHL, maybe a camp fodder. So, and then Blake Spears, a 1-year, 2-way contract. 24-year-old, played in 4 games last year with the Tucson Roadrunners. He had 18. He's totaled 19 goals, 18 assists, and 37 points in 76 penalty minutes and 151 career AHL games. He also skated in 3 NHL games for the New Jersey Devils in 2016-2017. I think that it says Devils, so I'm going to go ahead and assume that he was part of that trade for Taylor Hall, part of that package. But yeah, they're not mind-blowing transactions, additions, but Shane Gostisbehere, Louis Eriksson, Jay Beagle and Louis Eriksson especially bring some leadership or veteran leadership to the team. Phil Kessel's not bringing you veteran leadership to a team. If anything, Phil Kessel's bringing bringing 12 hot dogs for the team, or for himself because it's Phil Kessel. But Phil Kessel gets paid in hot dogs, not in money. He gets paid in hot dogs. So he's not bringing any veteran leadership. The Carter Hutton signing is the one that stands out to me the most, based on last year's record, based on last year's save percentage, and based on last year's goals against average. Is Carter Hutton really the guy that you look at and say, yeah, he's a stopgap goalie, and yeah, he's probably a stopgap goalie. Is he a goalie that's going to get you to the playoffs? Probably not. And I think Coroner could be that guy. Watching some of his games with the Barracuda, I was sad to see him go, but I think Aiden Hill finally gets a chance to be a starter with James Reimer. So, but I think that like I said, the Carter Hutton signing surprises me. These moves surprise me. If we go to departures, they lost Imama to the LA Kings, Chaput to the Pittsburgh Penguins, Hjalmarsson retired, Osterley went to the Red Wings, Antti Ranta went to the Carolina Hurricanes, Bunting to Toronto, Hayden to Buffalo, and Hunt to New York. And as I just talked about, Darcy Kemper went to the Colorado Avalanche. I'm pretty sure it was in a trade. So in the draft, I have a big problem with their draft, and I don't have a problem with who they drafted. Dylan Guenther we'll get to his stats in a second, but they were stripped of their first-round draft pick because of a player who had issues in the past, and they knew about it and still had him on the team, and then got rid of it, and then they released him, and they lost a draft pick. They only got that draft pick this year because they traded to the Canucks. They should not have had a first-round draft pick, because if you're, how do I put this? If your player conduct policy is as strong as it is, then Arizona should not have been allowed to get a first-round draft pick. And what this kid did, if true, because I'm not going to speculate one way or the other, but if true, that looks bad on the Arizona Coyotes as well, not just this kid. For those who don't know, you can look it up. He was, like I said, I'm not going to speculate, but the things that came out do not look good, especially for the organization to draft this kid. And if they had known about it, then that's another problem. But they were stripped of the first-round draft pick and then traded for one from Vancouver. And The NHL's like, oh yeah, that's fine. Yet, and no talk about it. Yet Montreal drafts a kid who did make a mistake. He did a really stupid thing that he should not have done. Didn't want to be drafted, gets drafted, and Gary Bettman's going to come out and ridicule this kid and talk about all this stuff. So that's not okay. But Arizona was punished and essentially got out of that punishment by getting some other team's draft pick. You know, the player conduct in the NHL is a little that was a little weird to me. So, but I digress and move on. They drafted with their first pick. They drafted Dylan Guenther from the Edmonton Oil Kings. Guenther had we go down to stats. With the Oil Kings, his last year he had 12 games, 12 goals, 12 assists for 24 points. For Canada's U18 team, he had 7 games played, 4 goals, 3 assists for 7 points. For their U17, 6 games, 3 goals, no assists, 3 points. So unlike Mason McTavish, I don't know if there's a whole lot to go off of on Guenther. He's obviously going to start immediately, I think, or he's going to make the squad immediately just because, I mean, first round draft picks, usually I want to say the top 10 end up making the team, maybe more. So we'll see how that goes. Their second draft pick was Josh Doan from Chicago of the USHL. Ilya Fedotov. I'm probably butchering that name, but he came from Russian Junior League. Janis Moser came from Biel in the Swiss League. Rasmus Koronen came from Asat Junior in the Finland Junior League. Their number 6 pick, Mannix Landry from Gatineau from the QMJHL. Their 7th pick was Cal Thomas from Maple Grove High School in Maple Grove, Minnesota. And then their 8th pick was Samuel Lipkin from Chicago in the USHL, so he gets to play with his teammate and Josh Doan. I think that either Mannix or Rasmus was goalie. So based on moves that Arizona made, based on I want to base this grade off of last year's standings and how much they have been improving. But the moves that they made this offseason just don't show me that they're improving, that they're going into another rebuild, because Carter Hart is not a goalie that's going to win you a cup. So if I have to choose a grade for the Arizona Coyotes in the offseason, I am going to be generous. I'm going to give them a C minus. And I think I'm going to go ahead and give the Ducks a C plus. I think they did a little more or did less instead of trying to take on a bunch of salary and taking on guys who we don't know if they can ever get back to what they used to be. Man, picking a win total for this team is very hard because, like I said, I don't know with the moves that they made. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if they're gearing up for a playoff run, or I don't know if they're going for the number 1 pick. But I'm going to be a little harsh with this team. I said 20 to 25, maybe 30 for the Ducks. So in between 20 and 30. I think for the Coyotes, it's somewhere within 15 to 25 wins. I don't see this team breaking 30 or even getting close to 30. Like I said, especially with Carter Hutton in net. I think 15 to 25 is a good total for this team. They just don't look like a playoff contender at all. So, and maybe I'm wrong, but like I said, with the moves that they made, I mean, it's just they don't look like a team that's gonna make the playoffs this year. They don't look like a team that's gonna hit a 30 win mark. I'm gonna say that Arizona will be a team fighting for that number 1 pick next year. So, but hey, anything could happen. It's just, but again, it's one of those things where, it's one of those things where anything can happen. It's the NHL, but I don't see anything really happening with this team. So that is it for the Arizona Coyotes 30, my 32 and 32 preview for the Arizona Coyotes. Tomorrow or Wednesday or even Thursday will be the Boston Bruins, and I got a big problem with the Boston Bruins and their goaltending situation. Someone's getting screwed over in Boston, so. But this has been the Full Check Podcast, 32 and 32 Arizona Coyotes preview. You can follow me at full_check on Twitter. Peace.